My name is Amanda, and I'm here with...
Hi, my name is Tanisha. We're with Hillsborough County Public Library.
Yes, welcome. This is a perfect date for this program. It is Friday the 13th. We're going to learn a little bit about its origins, but this is a spin-off of our regular celebrations around the world, and this is superstitions around the world. Okay, so Tanisha, tell us a little bit before we get into those superstitions.
All right, and before we get into our superstitions, we're just going to go ahead and turn off our cameras, and I am going to give you a quick note, a brief disclaimer about this program. So as we say with our celebrations programs, we're really talking about cultural traditions and not necessarily religious or cultural dogma. We're just trying to talk about the interesting and cultural aspects of celebrations, or in this case, superstitions. And as you can imagine, when we were researching superstitions, a lot of them have multiple or very murky origins. So you might come across a superstition that you might attribute to another culture, to another country, to another place, and that is entirely possible. We try to use the widest amount of research possible, but of course the superstitions are kind of all over the place, so some things may be a little bit murky. And Amanda, let's go ahead and kick things off with a polling question. So we are going to ask, do you or your family have any superstitions? Yes or no?
Okay, go ahead and vote. And if you do have yes, you can definitely tell us in the question section. We'd love to hear about those superstitions. What about you, Tanisha? Does your family have any superstitions?
Yes, so my mom has this thing where if there's a pole, like a light pole or a fire hydrant or anything splitting a path, everybody in our group has to walk around the same side of that thing. So if there's like a light pole, we all have to walk around the same side of the light pole. And to be honest, she's told me in the past why we have to do that, but I'm not sure. What about you, Amanda?
Oh, wait, I have a question. Is it always like on the right side or always on the left side? Because you know how like sometimes like certain like left is unlucky, right is lucky, and vice versa. So
it depends. Well, yeah, it really depends.
I would say,
what about you, Amanda?
I would say on one side of my family, there's definitely like superstitions relating to dreams, los sueños. So like looking for signals, signs, messages in dreams. I know I have some family members who really share those stories, or if they have a dream about you and something else, they always are sure to tell you because there might be, you know, something lucky or unlucky to look out for. So, we are split down the middle for the audience.
Yes, we are. So, like we said before, please, if you do have any family or personal superstitions that you would like to share with the audience and with us, please be sure to put them into the question section, because we'd like to see what other superstitions are out there. So, Amanda, let's go ahead and dive straight into our superstitions from around the world.
Sounds good.
So, the first.
Oh, go ahead.
The first place we are going to go to is Asia. So, in China, the origins of this first one we found in China or Japan.
I think the poll we need to dislodge or turn off the poll, the results.
We sure do. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. All right. So our first superstitions are coming from Asia. So this first one we found origins in China and Japan. So it is considered unlucky to put chopsticks straight up in a bowl of rice because they resemble incense burned at funerals. So if you have a bowl of something, whether it be rice or noodles, you have to lay your chopsticks to the side. You can't have them sticking straight up because that is considered very unlucky in Chinese and Japanese culture, because they attribute that, or they connect that with funerals and funeral rites, and that is really unlucky.
I did find, Tanisha, as similar. It is along that vein, kind of the death, avoiding death, fear of death in a lot of Asian cultures, including China, Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. And that is, we're going to talk about some numbers later in the program, but that is tetraphobia. If anybody knows in the audience what tetraphobia is, it is fear of the number 4. And why that fear is because in certain dialects, certain languages, including some Chinese dialects, the number 4 sounds like the word for death. So anything associated with 4, like you don't want to live on the 4th floor of the apartment, or it's unlucky to be 4th in line for something. So that's something that kind of, I think those two might be a little bit tied together. That kind of fear of death and avoiding death type of superstition. So let's travel to another place in India, and this one is a little bit, it's kind of a not so unlucky one as fear of death, but adding 1 rupee to a cash gift. So for example, if you were going to give 100 rupees, you would add it so it's an uneven number, 101. This is so the amount will be an odd number, which is considered indivisible. So that's kind of a nice thing, because it's always nice to get a little extra cash if you're giving a gift, or give a little extra cash. So that's kind of a nice one.
Yeah, and on top of that, Amanda, one of the reasons why this is the case is because the odd numbers are indivisible, and so they signify a long marriage, blessings, good luck. So it's just considered really good luck in Indian culture to give an amount and an odd number so that they will continue their blessing. So something that's a little bit more uplifting, a superstition that is rooted in good luck. So something fun to think about. So let's go ahead, and once my computer wants to, there we go. Let's go ahead and travel to Africa. So this was an interesting one that we found. So in Kenya, if you have itchy palms, that means that you are due for a financial windfall. So if your palms start itching, you're in luck. You're about to run into some money.
So don't reach for the lotion just yet. You might want those itchy palms to get your financial windfall, especially when the lottery's high. You can go ahead and make sure you have those itchy palms. And then, Tanisha, I think this is why I asked the question about the left or the right side. So I also read that it depends though on which palm is itching, because you want it on your left palm, but if it's on your right palm and you scratch it, you're scratching away your good luck potentially. So you kind of have to be careful there. It can be a sign of luck, but you could diminish the luck if you're scratching the right side. But you can scratch the left side. So I was saying, oh, maybe your mom goes to the left or to the right, because both sides are luckier. Although, flip side that, there's a lot of cultures who think the left side is unlucky and the right side is the luckier. So I guess it just depends on where you are. Okay, so also from Africa, this is a little bit of a specific one, but after recovering from an illness, or especially maybe a hospital stay, there is the superstition that if you step on an egg, this will kind of put a period to that period of time in your life, and it will end the illness once and for all. So I tried to find the origins of this one. The only thing I can find really is that egg is a symbolism of rebirth, restarting. So maybe it's the idea of a fresh start, a new start for somebody.
Yeah, this one, the same. As I was researching this, like it was really hard to find, like it was clear that this is definitely a superstition that exists in Uganda, but it was really hard to find like an origin of it. I was like, well, where did it come from? Like, why did they think this? But in any event, get ready to have some sticky sticky feet there when you're stepping on those eggs to get rid of those bad vibes with illness. So you better get ready for that. So let's go ahead and travel on to Europe.
Okay.
All right. So 7 years of bad luck. So that is a really common one. I know that I've heard of that one a lot. So 7 years of bad luck after breaking a mirror. This superstition has roots in the Roman tradition. So Amanda, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, as you know, this is an interesting one, how you said origins can spread when you look at like empire and things like that. The Romans were, of course, everywhere in Europe at one point. And this is why some of those traditions, especially in places there are, and over time they've kind of morphed into their own versions in different countries. But basically the idea is that in Roman mythology, if a mirror cracks, the only reason that it could crack is that you are in bad health and you are due for bad luck. So basically, if you're in bad health, that is what's causing the mirror to crack. And the idea was, at that time, the Romans believed that it took 7 years for the body to renew itself in the life cycle of sickness and renewal. So why you would have 7 years bad luck is because that's the 7 years it takes for your body to renew itself to its healthiest state. So so you were already sick to begin with if the mirror cracked, but if you could survive the 7 years, you would then eventually break that curse because your body would have renewed itself. So I like that one in the sense that yes, this has happened to you, but maybe you can outlast this bad luck and get back to breaking even. Do you have any information to add about that, Tanisha?
So with the finding the penny, the reason why, so this one was really, really interesting to look up because first of all, as you can see, between the Romans, the English, and the Americans, there was so much going on there.
Yeah.
But the reason why pennies were so important is because metal was valuable. So metal was very valuable in the ancient world.
Any metal, not just the precious metals, but any metal was, I mean, for life, survival, and tools, very valuable.
So in the Roman tradition, Romans believed that metal was sent by the gods to protect their favorites. So if you found a metal coin, that was considered immense good luck because that meant that the gods were looking out for you. So something else to remember about those lucky pennies, and I'm sure that you've all heard this before, if you find a lucky penny, a penny heads up, it is lucky, go ahead and pick it up. But if it's on the tail side, leave it because that means that it is unlucky. Go ahead and leave it for the next person. Maybe it'll flip around to heads, but you should only pick up a penny if it's on the heads side.
This also reminds me, Tanisha, so many of these superstitions in multiple languages, but I know many of the English ones growing up here in America, but of course the classic, find a penny, pick it up all day long, you'll have good luck. So yes. I think those are a lot of those rhyming, memory helps you remember those. Do you pick up lucky pennies, Tanisha? If you see a penny on the ground, do you pick it up or do you just leave it?
I usually just leave it because especially in the now times, I'm not really keen on picking things up that aren't mine. So,
I agree with you in that, the germ issue.
I'll just leave it. And Amanda, I think I made a snafu and I skipped our first slide.
I thought we might have just gotten out of order, but that's okay. We'll just go back to it. Our Latin America. While you're finding that, I did want to bring one more bit of information about the 7, if you do accidentally break a mirror, by the way, and that is, according to the Romans, if you did gather all the broken pieces of the mirror and you buried them by moonlight, you could help reverse that bad luck sooner. So if you so happen to break a mirror at home somehow and you do feel superstitious and you don't want to wait out the 7 years, you just make sure you gather up all those little pieces of the mirror, wait till the next full moon, and bury them by moonlight. And that should also help improve your luck and your health.
Yeah. So Amanda, speaking of, doing a program on Friday the 13th, it appears that our Latin America slide has disappeared.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it is gone. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead. Yeah, before we talk about some of the fun facts about the number 13, why don't we just go ahead and talk a little bit about some Latin American superstitions. Both Amanda and myself both come from Latin American backgrounds, so these are both superstitions that we are very familiar with. The first one being, if you leave your purse on the floor, that means that you are unlucky with money. Amanda, I remember getting yelled at all the time as a kid and as a teen and even as an adult. Like if I put my purse on the floor, why is your purse on the floor? You're gonna lose all your money. I remember getting yelled at about that all the time.
Have you ever heard this? Have you ever heard this phrase, Tanisha? A purse on the floor is money out the door. So
yes, I have.
You know what I like about this one? First of all, I think this is just good common sense. Back in the days before cell phones, I used to hear the fact, I'm using air quotes, the fact all the time that your purse is the dirtiest thing you have because you set it on the floor, you set it on a table at a restaurant, you set it everywhere, you take it with you on a park bench. So I tend to agree with this. And I also think technically, or not technically, I think, Tanisha, some of these superstitions are like folk tales, fairy tales, and fables. They're just a good way of imparting common sense. Mm-hmm. So I agree. Don't put your purse. I've heard that one before too. I've definitely heard that one from family members. Don't put your purse on the floor because you could lose money. You could be not paying attention and somebody could steal your purse or your wallet or, something like that. So I tend to think that is a good one. I don't know if I'm superstitious that I do it, but I definitely don't put my purse on the floor. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much, Tanisha.
Yeah.
Okay. So we also have, this one, and a lot of these, like we said, are across many different countries. So there's little variations, not little, but there's variations on each of these. And one of the big things in Latin America, these different superstitions across countries, is putting a glass of water. There are different locations you can put it depending on the country you're in. But basically, the glass of water is thought to absorb bad spirits. So it's kind of like a protection there, wherein it's allowing bad spirits not to enter and stay in your home. So some countries, like I think, Tanisha, I know you have Cuban ancestry. I think Cuba might be putting it on top of the refrigerator. A lot of countries put it, or depending on the parts of Cuba, a lot of countries say put it behind the door, and that's a good place to ward off the bad spirits and absorb the bad spirits. I looked into this one as well, and I think it just goes back to that idea of the regenerative nature of water, being one of our base elements, and it really is one of those things you need for survival. So I think that's a good one. Just be careful, know where you put your water, or it may spill, or you may have a spilled glass of water. Be careful when you're opening those doors. Do you have any ones on that? I did read a variation on this as well.
So interestingly, as you mentioned, I do have Cuban. My grandparents immigrated from Cuba. And so where we put the glass of water, and this is something I remember when we moved into one of our houses here as a kid, is you put the glass of water on if you have a fireplace, you put the glass of water over the mantle, or you put it somewhere like in the middle of the house. So before you move any of your furniture in, you have to put the glass of water there to soak up all the bad spirits. So you get rid of all the bad spirits or bad juju that might have been in that house before you move in. So you have to put the glass of water there the day before, and then when you move in, all of the bad stuff should be gone.
That makes sense. I think a lot of cultures have that idea of like removing those bad spirits. And I think the mantle makes sense because like it feels like the fireplace could be a port of entry and type of things. It feels symbolic. It feels like that. That's a good one. I did read a variation on this. Oh, there is also, if you don't do the glass of water, a lot of countries also in Latin America do a broom behind the door, and that kind of makes sense because you are sweeping out the actual symbolism of a broom is kind of sweeping away that bad luck. So it kind of is. It's a little less about bad spirits and a little more about like kind of funny superstition. Like, for example, if you have a house guest, you don't want to stay too long, put a broom behind their bedroom door and they might, so you can sweep them out when need be. Okay, so let's now go on to our final slide, Tanisha.
Yeah, the slide that we've been on this whole time because we lost the Latin America slide.
It is Friday the 13th after all. It is Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th. So, fun facts about the number 13. So, fear of the number 13 is called, and Amanda, please help me out with that one because that is a hard word.
I think it's triskaidekaphobia. I could be wrong. All of these phobia words are Greek origin. So if you do speak Greek and want to give us a little shout out, please let us know. Triskaidekaphobia.
Thank you. So we found that is the fear of the number 13. And shortly before our program, I also found out that there is actually a fear of Friday the 13th. And guys, I'm just going to warn you right up. Please bear with me as I try to pronounce this word. But the fear of Friday the 13th is Paraskavidecatriaphobia. Let me say that one more time. Paraskavidecatriaphobia is the fear of Friday the 13th.
That would be fun for etymology, a good etymology program. Let us know in the survey if that's something you'd be interested in. I'd love to do that. I'm not sure that, well, that's a mouthful. That is a mouthful, the fear of Friday the 13th. Well, and where does some of that, there's different variations, there's different riffs on this across the world. So a lot of countries, including North America, including a lot of parts of Western Europe, believe Friday the 13th is unlucky. And why is that? Well, it starts with the number 13, being that it's kind of seen as a bad omen. One, it is an uneven number. We talked about those uneven numbers being less lucky. The second thing is there it kind of has both Judeo-Christian and Norse mythology. So the idea is of, again, if you look at the Last Supper, or look at a painting of the Last Supper, there's 13 people at the dining table. This was a bad omen. In that tradition, in that religion, we know what happened after that. So having this 13 number, then having bad events happen, was tied in within that religion as the idea it was a bad sign. But Tanisha, there was also in Norse mythology, there's the idea of this kind of the same thing, having 12 gods at a dinner party in Valhalla. And then Loki, the trickster god, who is also very well known and very popular now due to the Marvel comic movies and TV show, invited himself to the supper. So that made, again, 13 at this supper. And then bad events happened because Loki is a trickster god and a maker of mischief. So that's one of the origins of why Friday the 13th is unlucky. And then throughout history, many bad events or many unlucky events have happened on Friday the 13th, coincidental or not, whether you're looking for it or not. Sometimes I think that's what happens. So that's why it was pinned onto Friday the 13th. But Tanisha, you're going to tell us about it's not always Friday the 13th you have to be aware of. In some places, it is Tuesday.
Yes, it is Tuesday the 13th that is considered unlucky. And so this is the case in many Latin American countries. So the reason for that is due to, so in Spanish, the word for Tuesday is martes. Martes was given that name over the god Mars, which correlates with the god Ares, which were the Greek gods of war. So Tuesday the 13th, for that reason, was considered unlucky in many Latin American countries. And Amanda, you mentioned that there were some unlucky events that have taken place on Friday the 13th. And with any Google search, you'll be able to find out all of the bad things that happened on Friday the 13th. However, there was some good things that happened on Friday the 13th. So two in particular that I found that I thought were really fun and interesting. And this one is very relevant to Amanda and myself, is that Super Mario Brothers was released on September 13th, 1985. I have spent many, many, many hundreds of hours as a kid playing Super Mario Brothers. So that is a good thing that happened on Friday the 13th. Also, and this is more, relevant for, humanity and like the good of man and all of that. But water was discovered on the moon on November 13th, 2009. So that was Friday. That was a Friday the 13th. So there have been some really cool things that have happened on Friday the 13th.
I think so. I think if anything, over the history of time, I think you could pick any date in the 365 days of the calendar and find both a multitude of good and bad things. So sometimes I think superstitions are a little bit like that. If when you're looking for an example of something, you're going to find it. And I think that can be a little bit what it is.
All right. So now that we have covered some superstitions, we gave you a little sneak peek at that. If you want to learn more about superstitions or cultures or anything else, we have some really awesome resources that are free with your library card. So we have World Book Encyclopedia that you have access to free with your library card on the library's webpage. We also have Hoopla and Libby. Those are two of our really popular ebook, audiobook resources there that you can check out books and learn a little bit more about some of these superstitions or about culture and all of that. So we got some really, really awesome things for you. And of course, as we always do, we're going to open things up for questions. Amanda, while we're waiting for questions to come in, do you want to go ahead and cover our closing slide?
Sure. So as always, we are so appreciative that you attended this program this evening. We really hope that you've enjoyed it. Be on the lookout for that survey to give us feedback if there's anything you did particularly enjoy or anything you'd like us to know. If you have any questions about the library, whether that's using your library card, accessing those resources we just shouted out, or if you just have questions, you can always contact us online at hcplc.org/contact. Now, if you want to find what our upcoming programs are for August, September, October, please go to our library programs and events landing page on our website. That is at hcplc.org/events. And I did mention earlier in the program, that page has a link to all of our pre-recorded programs on YouTube. So for example, we'll be putting this program up on YouTube, but if you want to find any of the programs that you may have missed over the summer or even over the past year and a half, you can definitely find those at hcplc.org/events.
All right, Amanda. So let's go ahead and pop back on camera so we can formally close things out to our audience. And we want to thank you guys for joining us on this Friday the 13th, where Friday the 13th claimed one of our slides.
It almost got us, Tanisha, but we didn't let it. It almost got us.
We didn't let it. We kept going. Where did your camera go, Amanda?
Oh, there goes another Friday the 13th. I'm back.
We're back. Okay, so this is what happens, guys, when you decide to do a program on Friday the 13th. Some spooky stuff is going to happen. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this evening. We were very happy to have you. Thank you for joining us. Check us out on other programs, and we will see you guys next time. Bye now.
Bye. Stay lucky.
Stay lucky.